Hi there, it's Eric Bakker, the naturopath. I'm glad to be back. A question I get asked a million times, maybe a billion times or a trillion times: should I cut out all sugar and carbs on the Candida diet? So let's talk about this topic for a little bit and explain a few concepts that I've been thinking about. My clinical practice has come to a close, meaning I'm working with some existing clients right through to the end of this year, but I'm quitting. After 35 years of clinical practice, I want to start spending more time educating people, teaching people stuff that I've learned through thousands and thousands of hours of spending time in the clinic with an incredible amount of people. So the knowledge I've built up is based initially on a lot of research I did and working with other clinicians, but then eventually my best teachers were my patients. So patients taught me more than anything. And especially when you see, 10, 15 patients a day, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, a long time. So I read lots of comments on YouTube from people who are saying, but I was told that this feeds Candida, or I've got to stop this. Or the problem is there's a lot of manure out there regarding Candida, if you get my drift. And there's a lot of manure spreaders out there. People spread manure all over the internet. There's a ton of manure out there. It's a good thing we can't smell all that stuff because there's so much of it. What reality is in clinical practice and what theoretical knowledge is are two totally different things, right? Candida does exist, yes, we know that, but it's not the only thing that people suffer from. So when people come to the Candida Crusher channel, I want them to understand that it's about microbiome imbalance. It's about disharmony, okay? It's about multiple problems. When you've got a problem in your family, in relationships, in your family dynamics, there's no one simple thing that it's this. It's Uncle Ralph's drinking, that's the problem. There's a whole bunch of things that create the disharmony and the imbalance. And it's no different from a person's digestive system. So don't automatically make the assumption, A, that you've got Candida, and that is the main problem, and B, that by cutting out all sugars and carbs, it's going to fix the problem, because both of these things are assumptions. And you know what happens when you assume. You make something out of something. You probably know that saying, okay? I used to make a lot of assumptions in the first probably 5 to 10 years of my practice, and then I stopped assuming. Then I wanted to test and understand what I was really dealing with people. And as I said many times on YouTube, about half the people I've seen all these years, in fact, didn't have a Candida problem at all. They had a problem with bacteria, bad bacterial blooms, overgrowths, biofilms of bacteria. They had parasite problems, or they had a serious lack of beneficial bacteria, or they had a big digestive problem, which was precluding them from building good levels of good bacteria. I could literally in my head think about 10 different boxes that I could literally fit 95% of people into. So when a patient would present often, and I never have a preconceived idea ever about a client, and I'd run the appropriate tests and I'd spend time talking about the case. Usually within the first half an hour, I'd work out what was wrong with the client. But I have to really understand the person, because that's what we're treating. We treat people, we don't treat diseases. Each person has a different expression of a condition based on their personality, how they live, how they work, all sorts of factors account for that. So to say to you, yes, cut out all sugars and carbs, I can't say that because I don't know you out there personally who are watching this video right now. But let's assume, okay, I've worked with you for a while and you're looking at this video, or you're looking at this and we're doing a Skype consultation, for example, and I've got your test report in my hand here right now. This is your test report, and it's showing you've got a 1 or 2+ Candida culture. So the front page of a stool test is the microbiology page. You've got the bacterial culture on the top, the beneficials, the imbalanced and the bad stuff, the SIBO kind of stuff. And then we're going to have a yeast panel underneath that, which is the yeast culture panel. So let's just say we're going to pick, say, Geotrichum or Trichosporon or Candida, one of the 20 or 30 Candida strains that I see, and it's a positive, okay? So we're not making an assumption here, we're dealing with a positive Candida test with you, and you're my patient currently. But you're not saying a lot, are you? Anyway, silliness. So what are we going to do with you? Well, first thing we're going to do, you will have filled out a form already, so we're going to look at what you're eating. So I like to see what people are eating. Most people I see with Candida problem, in fact, have already cut out, you know, the crap, the ice cream, the soda drinks, the candy, you know, the snack bars, all that sort of stuff. They've already been online. They've read a bit that these foods aren't really the best for Candida. So they've cut those foods out already. So 9 out of 10 people I talk with say, no, Eric, I don't eat, I don't go down to the corner store and I don't drink beer anymore and I don't, you know, have like 3 sugars every time I have a coffee. I don't do that anymore. I'd say that's about 80% of people. 20% will still sneak sugar into their diet. They'll, you know, Auntie Mary made them an apple pie and it's got half a cup of sugar. They'll have a slice of that once or twice a week. Mum will make up some food for them where she invariably puts sugar in there, you know, these sorts of things. Or they go to a party or a dinner party, or they go out eating and they'll have the dessert with sugar in it. So I clamp those people down a bit more. And basically I tell people what I eat. And I say, this is how I want you to eat. I want you to focus on fresh food. Oh my God, you're recommending fruit? But fruit causes Candida. Don't you know that? Well, it doesn't actually. This is the crazy thing. If you look at Candida crusher, I've got fruit in 3 categories. See my teeth again. I've got fruit in 3 categories. Okay, you've got the high sweet fruits, you've got the medium sweet fruit, and you've got the low sweet sugary fruits. Now, the crazy thing is, some people with Candida can tolerate bananas and watermelon and grapes, no problem. That's the crazy thing. There are no rules when it comes to this. You have to find your own rules and make those rules for you, because your particular type of Candida and gut imbalance is totally different from the guy over here and the woman over there. And that's why I can't give you 100% concrete answer to this question. What I can say to you is when you eat fruit, have you noticed what fruit plays up on your gut? Are you eating fruit with food or away from food? How much fruit are you eating? Are you eating dried fruit, which is a no-no, or eating fresh fruit? If you're eating fresh fruit, which categories are you eating? The sweet, the medium, or the low sugar? And that's why I usually recommend as a starting point for fruit, for example, I recommend green apples. And I've noticed since I made that recommendation about 6 years ago online, everyone now talks about green apples. Prior to that, no one talked about apples were okay for Candida. People said, apples are for Bolton, nobody can eat apples. But now all of a sudden everyone's talking about green apples. I've always found green apples to be fine with Candida. Even going back to the 90s, I found them to be fine with 95% of people. The Granny Smith or the tart apple, they're high in malic acid. They're in fact a very powerful prebiotic food. They're really good for improving your stomach and pancreatic function. But they're sublime for the colon when it comes to fermentation. So an apple a day does keep, you know, you away from the rush clinic basically. But you've got to eat the right kind of apples. I might do a video another day when I create a lifestyle channel. I'm going to talk about the apples I grow and the old-fashioned apples and their health value compared to this new crap that people eat today. You know, the new ones. And they're all bred up the road here from me. Likely if you're watching this and you're eating a Pacific Rose or an apple bred in New Zealand, it'll come from the Crosses Road Laboratory, which is like 10 minutes walk from here. Most of these apples are bred there. High sugar content, pink blush, red color. It's predominantly for the Asian market who like the sweetest apples you can get. So don't eat apples that are really sweet. They're not good, right? So the fruit is quite contentious. So you need to be careful. I usually pull out bananas, pineapple, watermelons, grapes, those sorts of foods. I take them out. But this thing is I look at with clients is how much fruit they eat. Do they eat 10 pieces a day? Do they eat 1 piece a day? Do they put it in a smoothie with lots of cow's milk and then maybe some ice cream in it? How do they actually consume the fruit? When your tummy is not working well, you're best to consume fruit well away from any other food. All right? You can't really expect good digestion and especially fermentation if you have a piece of steak and some potatoes or some quinoa and brown rice, you know, and then put a banana on top of that. That could cause bloating and gas. So separate your fruit. Anyway, we're getting a bit off track here. Should I cut out sugar and carbs? Well, you should cut out sugar. If you've got bloating, if you've got gas, if you've got tummy problems, if you've got constipation or diarrhea, I would urge you to take out all forms of man-made sugar. You know, cane sugar, molasses, even honey if it's bad digestion. All right? Also stevia, any of those kinds of sweets, xylitol, just take them all out. Get the sugar from that apple or pomegranate. Okay, or even kiwi fruit will be better than eating sugar. Because when you're eating A low sugar content fruit, you've got the fiber with it, which delays the ability for the body to really uptake that sugar. You're far better off eating a little piece of fruit for sugar rather than putting sugar in food. Watch out for baking, watch out for cookies, watch out for man-made farinaceous foods like stuff from the bakery, breads and stuff. Often that's got sugar in it. But remember this, if it tastes sweet, it's got sugar in it. But the sweeter it tastes, the more likely it's going to affect the gut function. Now what about carbs? What should you do with carbs? Again, if you look at Candida crusher, vegetables, another thing which we didn't talk about is the glycemic index. I'll talk a bit about that later. But when you look at carbs, they vary in their ability to react with the digestive system quite profoundly. I've always been a big fan of brown rice personally, and quinoa. I combine those about 80%, 20%. And I've never found brown rice and quinoa combo to be a problem with over 90% of people. Even SIBO people can generally respond to it well. It's all about portion size, so don't eat a large amount. But the contentious carbs that could cause problems for some people would be pumpkins, sweet potatoes, squash, that sort of category. They can be problematic. But here's the thing, it also depends how they're cooked. Boiling them, steaming them, or baking them can have a different effect on the digestive system. I make up a very nice salad with sweet potato and butternut squash. I bake those in the oven with garlic and cinnamon and a little bit of salt. And so they get roasted. We usually put a bit of pine nuts, probably 2 tablespoons of pine nuts go with that, almost as they're ready to be taken out. That's wonderful. A wonderful salad, and I don't generally find that to be a problem. But what I do, because my gut's great shape, I get 2 tablespoons of honey, and then I mix that with a bit of balsamic vinegar and a bit of salt, and that gets drizzled and tossed through the whole lot. And that's a beautiful combination. So yeah, my kitchen's being developed at the moment, so it's going to be great to show you guys the kind of foods that I cook. But watch out for those foods, pumpkin, squash, even potato. Baked potato is often better. For many people than boiled or mashed. Sometimes you need to experiment with a carb. But if these foods play up on your tummy, pull them out. Just take them out. Take any kind of carb out that you feel is a problem. I'm going to be doing a video soon on showing people how to pick up on the subtleties of issues in your body. Many little things that we take for granted and we just don't even think about. These are little warning signs. Your body telling you that there's a problem, but you probably just disregard them. And often you don't notice that they're gone until your health, attains a high level. Once I started working on my health seriously years ago and really built it up, I don't have any kind of sensations anywhere in the body. No pain, no twitching, no heart issues or flickering of the heart or whatever. Nothing, completely nothing at all, because I've worked on that. And then when I did experience small things, I started to think, well, what could that be? Why would my toe hurt when I get out in the morning? Or why is my muscle twitching? And then when I studied into it, I realized that usually they're deficiencies, which I corrected. And I corrected them by eating properly. All right? So remember, food is the key medicine. And that's what this channel is usually all about. It's not just about taking pills. It's about eating excellent food all the time. And occasionally eating some crap. We're all human, all right? So should you take out all sugar and carbs on your Candida diet? Yes, for the added sugar. Don't add sugar. The higher level you attain with your gut, like mine, you can start definitely having stevia in your diet and honey. I would have easily 1 tablespoon of honey per day, easily in my diet. This is my own honey from my garden. Not a problem at all. But again, I would not have 5 or 6 tablespoons of honey and then, candy and ice cream. I'm going to be farting like a horse if I did that. So if I ever get flatulence myself, because I don't really notice any flatulence, it's because I've overstepped the mark with honey. All right? That's why I know that personally. And I don't overstep the mark. So carbs, be careful with. It all depends on tolerability of your gut at the time. It depends on your microbiome. It depends on your phase of life where you're at. You may be a young man or young lady with a family and be very busy and find it difficult, to cook at appropriate times or things like that. You may be a person looking after an elderly relation under high stress. You may have multiple sclerosis. Goodness knows what kind of person you are watching this video, but if you have got a carb in your diet that's causing an issue, you need to pull that out temporarily to see if the gut comfort increases, or if particularly the bowel changes. If that is so, keep that food out for a while. Make a mental note of it, write it down on your phone or your diary, and then maybe come back to it in time to see if you can reintroduce it. Because I tell you now, the food police will sometimes tell you, don't eat potatoes or tomatoes, they got lectins in them and they'll kill you and all this sort of crap. Don't fall for it, people. Don't fall for this nonsense that you must eliminate a food all your life. Okay? There's a lot of police out there. We've got enough laws rammed down our throat as it is without the food police telling us what we can and can't eat. Healthy people like me can eat any kind of food. Any kind of food. Right? I want you to bear that in mind. And even carbs and even sugars, all those foods can be consumed. The healthier you are, the higher the tolerability. That's what it boils down to. So leave me some comments below and I'll respond to the intelligent ones. Thanks for the question.